Hi there again. Today I'm going to talk about a book from the martial arts section of my library. As you may imagine, I have quite a few books about martial arts which I've collected over the years. And the significance of this one is that it was a book that I had tried to get for a number of years, ever since I first heard about it. And it's this book, Zen Combat by Jay Gluck. It was published in about 1962-63, written by Mr. Gluck, who was a journalist, American journalist resident in Tokyo. And I'd heard about the book from some of my friends. Terry O'Neill, for example, had read it, but he didn't have a copy. And I was intrigued by it, and it was a long time, really after the internet came along, that I was able to get a copy. It was quite rare back then. Now it's pretty easy to get a copy. The internet secondhand bookstores have got loads of copies. Numerous contents. The first section is about karate and mainly about Maso Yama, the noted Korean instructor who was resident in Tokyo, who founded Kyokushinkai. And the first story in the book is about Aoyama's fight with a bull. Now, one of the things that intrigued me about the book, and one of the things that I think makes the book interesting, is it pinpoints a particular time and place in martial arts history. After World War II, Japan was pretty much in disarray, and most of the martial arts were banned by the American occupying government. The exception was judo, and a lot of the martial arts instructors tried to get the arts recognized by the Americans, and so they put on lots of demonstrations and challenges and this kind of thing in a way that they never did in later years. So some of the most famous instructors did some quite spectacular demonstrations around the time that the book was written, and they're in Mr. Gluck has catalogued them all. It starts off, as I said, with the famous fight that Maso Yama had with the bull, and you can find the truth about this quite easily on the internet. But the myth and the legend here in the book at the time must have made people actually gasp, because after he pummeled the bull into submission, it said that it says less than 3 minutes after it answered the challenge, it was pronounced unfit for beef due to excessive damage. And thus are legends made. The other point about the time with Maso Yama is that in the book, his partner in the karate dojo is Gogen Yamaguchi, who became known as the Cat, who founded the Goju Kai, the Japanese branch of Goju. And from a historical point of view, it's interesting because both of these masters' claims for lineage were pretty dodgy. They claimed to have trained with various instructors and gained different kinds of honors, which don't really stand up to reflection. Nevertheless, they were both really first-class instructors in their own right, who just felt the need to claim things. One of the things that is claimed by Maso Yama in the book is that he won the All Japan Karate Championship in 1947. Well, of course, there wasn't any such championship. It was much later before they were organized. And he may have competed in some sort of event somewhere, but to call it a world championship reminded me of the early days of karate in the United States, when some promoter in Wahoo, Nebraska would hold a championship and declared it a world championships, and Billy Bob would become the world champion. Outside countries competing in this world championship. The other section is Aikido, and Master Ueshiba is in here, and he did a demonstration against American military police, which in later years he would never have done. And his assistant, Master Tohei, is in here as well, and they quite enthusiastically gave demonstrations. Other martial arts covered, which at the time when the book was written were really obscure, things like Kyudo, the archery, Bojitsu, ninjitsu, and stick fighting, Bojitsu. So I was really pleased to get a copy of this when I finally did, and it certainly deserves a place in my martial arts library, and I'm sure any of you will find the text very, very interesting.